Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about swim baits. Big unknown subject topic for a lot of people out there. Specifically, we're going to be talking about this guy, the Jackall Gantarel Jr. Not a huge swim bait, but have had a lot of questions come at me from other social media sites. Went out, had a good day on the water, posted some pics. A lot of people asking questions. Do you like the bait? Do you not like the bait? What do you like about it? What kind of gear do you throw it on? And it's understandable. A year ago, I wasn't throwing swim baits. And I got this bait in the mail last year, Christmas, after a tackle warehouse sale. It's priced reasonably normally, and it was even better on a sale. But I didn't throw it very much earlier this year. Maybe I threw it once in the spring, and maybe I threw it once or twice in the summer, but I didn't give it the time on the water that it deserved. I was throwing Spro Rats and Bull Shads and S-Wavers with little success, some success, but not great. Hindsight being 2020, I wish I had thrown this bait a lot more. Why? Most of the time when I'm fishing locally here in my area, I'm beating the bank. I'm throwing baits on ponds, small ponds, large ponds, a couple of small lakes, because time is limited when you got a family and business and blah blah blah. But most of the ponds I fish have bluegill in them, a normal, natural prey for bass. And after the day that I had today with this lure, you can bet your butt I'm throwing this thing way more next year. Water's starting to cool down. I think maybe a little too much for this right now, but regardless, a lot of people had some questions. I really wanted to post a video about it, share some information, share some perspectives, and go from there. So you guys, please, follow along. Check out the video check out the rest of the video. Check out the pictures. Hopefully, you can gain a little bit of information, a little bit of perspective, make an informed buying decision. And if you've got bluegill in your ponds, if you've got bluegill in your lakes, which you more than likely do, it's a no-brainer to pick this thing up and throw it. You can throw it on normal, medium heavy to heavy tackle. You don't need dedicated rods. You don't need dedicated reels. If you frog and flip in the summer or in the spring, you can throw this. So I highly recommend it. You guys will see coming up here shortly. The day that I had, it wasn't even a day, it was 45 minutes. When I threw this, it was the fall transition. It really wasn't fall yet. It was the summer to fall transition. Some people coin it as the Indian summer. Some people refer to it as the best time to fish. So check it out. Thanks for joining. See ya. pretty good. 4.5 pounder on a Gantarel bluegill bait. Let you go. See you later, Bertha. So as you guys can see, we had a decent day on the water, more like a decent hour throwing the Jackall Gantarel. Here's the start of the show. We're going to do an up close and personal, give you my perspective on what I really like about the bait. First things first, its size. It's not a huge bait. It's 5 inches long, it weighs 1.5 ounces. 1.5 ounces may seem like a big bait, 5 inches may seem like a big bait, but I'll put things in perspective for you. There's a Whopper Clopper 110. Not much bigger than it. It's got some more weight than it. I throw this on my only swim bait rod. I wanted to see how it behaved on that rod. The rod I throw it on is an extra heavy. It's too heavy for this bait, but it's my only swim bait rod. I do have a couple of bait casting rods that I use that are medium heavies. They can throw up to 1.5 ounces, or they could throw up to 1 ounce. I could throw this on that, no problem. I have a frog rod, I could throw that on, no problem. That is rated for up to 1.5 ounces. One of the main reasons I wanted to throw it on my swim bait rod is it's got a longer butt and it's got more rod length, so I have more leverage to throw it further. In a perfect world, I would have a 7.6 heavy, moderate action rod that could handle baits up to 1.5 or 2 ounces to throw this on. I would really like to have a moderate rod because it's a treble hook bait, and a moderate action will help to keep those fish pinned so you're not jeopardizing pulling those hooks out. I think anybody could throw this on a bait casting rod with 15 to 17 pound test, and a 7-foot, 7.3, 7.6 rod that's rated to throw a bait this heavy. But this is not a heavy bait in the world of swim baits. This is on the very, very small side of that. But let's talk about the bait. Let's talk about some of the features that I really like about it. First off, we'll start with the color. And this is referred to as Arty Ghost Gill. You can see that it's translucent. It's got a green bluegill, green sunfish pattern to it. This works well in the lakes and the ponds that I fish because all of them have decent water clarity. Decent meaning 1 to 2 foot. If I was fishing a body of water that had really muddy water, really stained water, really poor visibility, I would wish that I had a darker bait. This in a black and blue for those type of situations would be awesome. Not sure if they make that, but that's what I really like about the color. Some of the other features we'll talk about next are the line ties. So we've got line tie here, line tie here. I predominantly use this one. I'll talk about that one in a minute. This line tie I've used once or twice, and this will cause the bait to act as a wake bait. Wake bait meaning just subsurface, causing a V wake on the top of the water column. When I tie to this, I get a swimming depth, depending on my retrieve, of 1 to 3 feet under the surface. The swimming action on this is radical. It's a multi-segmented bait, so it's not just a glide bait, but it has behaviors that cause it to act a little bit like a glide bait. As it's coming through the water, it has an S action. It swims like this. And the way I fish it is like a crankbait. So reel, 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 pause. Reel, 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 pause. I don't burn it. I kind of fish it a little slow. Every time I pause it, it kicks out to one side. Yeah, bud. Welcome back and welcome to the real world. So we were talking about the Gantarel swimming action. Coming through the water, man, this thing has a wicked swimming action. And when you pause it, crank, 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 pause, it kicks off to one side. Crank, 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 pause, kicks off to another side. And it kind of shows its side to those bass. And that day that I was out, it was triggering some pretty awesome strikes. So we've talked about the wake. We've talked about this line tie. Just to recap, this line tie diving depth is roughly 3 feet. Retrieve should be slow to medium with the occasional pause. You can do reel twitches. You can pause and do a rod twitch. It will float on its way up. It's multi-segmented. It's got feathered treble hooks. Just an awesome bait. It's got keeled. It's got fins, so it helps it plane and keel. It's basically stay upright. And I highly recommend it, especially if you're thinking about getting into swim baits and you don't want to drop some serious coin. It's a great beginner bait. Hopefully guys and or gals enjoyed this video, got some decent perspective and feedback, and at the end of the day, get one, send it, and hopefully catch some fat faces on it. When would I throw this? I would definitely recommend throwing this fall, winter, spring, summer as well, even around those weed lines. This specific swim bait is definitely year-round because bass are always feeding on bluegills. And when they're really keyed in on them around the bluegill spawns in the summertime, I don't think you can go wrong. So get out there. Good luck to everyone. Rods up, tight lines. See ya. Peace.